So, a lot of people have died in the Shibuya arc so far, mainly civilians, but we have our sorcerers and curse spirits who've taken their L to this arc so far. Um, Shibuya is a very dense, populated place. Uh, some people compare it to New York. So, let's just get out the way right now. RIP all the civilians who took the L to Sukuna this arc. I do apologize on his behalf because he doesn't have a behalf to apologize on. He just does not care. And honestly, this is my favorite arc so far in the story in general. Like, I feel as if it hasn't missed almost 50 chapters in, or maybe 50 by the time I post this video, and it hasn't missed in my opinion. The fights are great. The story is progressing. That's adding up to me. But anyway, let's start with the first death. Hanami. Ooh, Hanami. Cause of death? A wild Gojo. A very, very wild Gojo. So Hanami's whole death scene starts with Gojo being the first on the scene. I mean, it is Gojo. He does perform his best by himself. So he's the first to enter, and he confronts, I think it's Chozo, Hanami, and Jogo. All of them in like the lower platforms of the mall or wherever they were, and they're doing exactly what Gojo thought they would do, which is like dirty tricks, using the civilians around them to their advantage, trying to like force him into close combat by using the domain amplification to basically just shut off the infinity around him. So it's close combat, and he's still whooping ass though. Gojo is still nice. 2 special grade curses and a Choso, and he's still going at it with them close combat. And Hanami thought he was slick. He thought basically, oh, since I'm using domain amplification and he's keeping it to close quarters since he can't use his infinity, yo, I'm gonna just, and I don't want to get the civilians involved anymore. Let me just go in and use my my Jutsu Shiki, which is the curse technique. Let me use my curse technique to just finish this off since he's not using infinity. And that's exactly what Gojo wanted him to do, to think that it was safe basically. He thought he wanted him to make it feel like he was safe, and it just wasn't. And that's when he turned up his infinity even more as soon as Hanami stopped using the domain amplification, and that was his demise. It's just he thought it was sweet basically. He thought shit was sweet, and it really wasn't. So yeah, basically Hanami gets crushed to death by Gojo's infinity. And what makes this a lot better is that they already met like on 2 occasions before, and before Gojo killed Hanami, he was like, "This is our 3rd time meeting, and you still haven't learned. You're first." Oh, I love Gojo, like I really do. If only he wasn't sealed. But yeah, RIP. Let's move on to, I think it's the Grasshopper Curse that's next. The Grasshopper Curse. Yo, he thought he was so funny. He thought he was so smart too. That's what I love about that Grasshopper Curse. He kept going on about being smart and stuff. But let's backtrack and go to the beginning of what's happening in the situation that brought us to his death basically. The Grasshopper Curse. Cause of death? A wild Yuji. So Yuji's first task in this arc was to destroy the cursed spirit that was casting the curtain that was not allowing the other sorcerers to reach the lower levels of Shibuya, or wherever the place was. That was it, a mall or something? My point is, there was a curtain, and he needed to kill a spirit that was casting the curtain so that they can go and save Gojo. Long story short. So when Yuji gets to where he has to be, he finds out there is a grasshopper curse, and there's this thing in the ground that's basically casting the curtain that he has to break, and then the curtain dispels and all that good stuff. So basically, he has to destroy that grasshopper so that he can get to that thing in the ground that casts the curtain. And the one thing I actually like about this grasshopper curse spirit is that he was kind of enjoyable while he was on the scene. It was a very ugly scene that Yuji pulled up on the grasshopper too. I mean, the grasshopper was just eating someone's head, but light work. That's light work. That was light work for Yuji. It was just to show like his growth right now. I mean, I'm sure the grasshopper curse wasn't no slouch either, but neither is Yuji. So like, come on, just brush that off. Just brush that off. Yeah, the grasshopper thought he was so smart, but it just really wasn't. Just saying dumb stuff like, yo, I can tell the difference of the taste of transfigured humans and non-transfigured humans, so I'm smart. Or do you know the difference of smart and not smart? Are you smart? Which one are you? I'm like, bruh, you're gonna die. It doesn't matter if you're smart or not. And Yuji did entertain the curse. He was like, well, smart people don't brag about being smart. He's like, for real? I did like that grasshopper while he was on the scene. I knew he was going to be fodder just to show us Yushi's growth and what he's bringing to the table in this arc. So yeah, light work. RIP. even though the grasshopper did have like 4 arms and better, supposedly better eyes than humans. I don't know like if that's scientifically true, but I'm gonna agree with Gigi or Gege on this one. But with all that stacked against Yuji, he still prevailed. Next, Lady Ogami, cause of death, a real ass nigga. I mean Toji Fushiguro. Yeah, so I'll keep this one short. Basically, Lady Ogami is a curse user that was on the opposing side of this whole fiasco going down. And basically, she has a seance curse technique ability where basically the recipient of her ability, she can turn into whoever she wants based off the DNA she copies. And her grandson is actually the recipient for this technique she's using. So she's turning her grandson into someone else who has like better capabilities for the moment or for the fight so far. And she turns her grandson into Toji Zenin, which is Megumi's dad, which is a real ass nigga. There's nothing more to say about that. You already knew what was gonna go down as soon as he was brought to the whole confrontation. I feel you could just tell that something bad was gonna happen, and it did. It really did. So basically, with her ability, she copies DNA and not soul, because for some reason, if you copy the soul, then she has a chance of the recipient getting taken over by the person that was copied, or the soul that was copied. And that's exactly what happened. But even though she used the DNA of Fushiguro instead of the soul, so that the grandson wouldn't be affected in any kind of way, or this wouldn't go down the way it did, basically. So she took all the precautions, and it still happened. Her grandson got taken over by Toji, and she died for it, basically. It was a trump card, but it was a very risky one, and no one could have assumed that was going to happen, because he's just different. He overrid Lady Ogami's grandson's body, so he's running around in someone else's body just wildly, and just so happened to kill the caster of the technique. So, and you think that if he killed the caster of the technique, then it would be disbanded, or just something like basically he'd be gone somehow in some kind of way. But no, since he doesn't have any curse energy, the start/end point for the technique never really it never existed. And it's funny because the grandson didn't have curse energy either. He's just a puppet, just going on a rampage that won't die until someone kills him or he kills himself. Spoiler alert. So yeah, if you learn anything from Lady Ogami, don't summon Toji. Just don't summon Toji. Next. Dagon. Cause of death? Toji back at it again. This is actually my second favorite interaction in this arc so far, because it's the whole Zenin squad. It's not a squad full of Zenins, but it's 2 Zenin family members and Nanami. Everyone loves Nanami. I love Nanami. R.I.P. But Nanami, yes. And all the curse wombs in this series are like King from Hunter x Hunter. They're just born strong and just good. How are you just born and have a domain expansion? Dagon already had a domain expansion on deck when he was born. The fight intensifies so much when Dagon like goes through his like official like reborn transformation or whatever Dagon went through, because it's just special grade, man. So they're all going at it, and none of them are slouches whatsoever. I'm actually really surprised that Dagon was keeping up with all 3 of them. He's special. Dagon is special grade, but that's 2 Zenin family members and 1 Nanami. So I give it props to him for how long he lasted and without the domain expansion, but it was definitely needed for the fight. So domain expansion happens, and that's when the tables turn for the Zenin squad. Like 100%. There was no chance they were going to survive that, because not only was it can't miss attacks, it was also the fact that Nanami it's the fact that Nanami didn't have a domain expansion. It was the fact that Maki doesn't have domain expansion, and they don't have countermeasures for domain expansions. No one taught them about the countermeasures or anything. So now Obito is the only one that has like some type of countermeasure for domain expansion, and he can't do all of that and then deflect. He can't deflect, can't miss attacks, and Dagon's attacks at the same time. Like he's in a state of focus, so the curse energy around him can cut the fishes that are trying to hit him in the can't miss zone. So he doesn't really have time to defend Maki and Nanami. Even Nanami tries to give Maki advice before things hit the fan, because it did. So good thing Megumi showed up when he did. He showed up with his domain expansion. Because okay, so here's the thing. Before I continue, I just want to say real quick, a team that'd be more prepared for that situation is Naobito, Megumi, and let's throw in Toto. Let's throw in Toto. All of them are not slouches, and all of them have countermeasures for the domain expansion. Naobito could have protected himself, while Megumi made another domain expansion to counterbalance Dagon's domain expansion, and then the Toto could have just came in for the finishing blow or something. Like, it would have been a better stacked team than what's going on right now. But no, Megumi does come and help them out. But all Megumi is really doing is buying time and making a hole so that they can escape through the domain expansion. But who goes through that hole instead? Toshi goes up and down and right back into the domain expansion of Dagon. So not only are they all trapped there, but they have to figure out how they're going to get out and how they're going to survive. The only person that really knew who Toji was Naobito, but that didn't really do much for the situation. Toji had it on lock though. Toji was clean. Like, I don't think there's anyone in that space that could match him, honestly. And it's so crazy because it's a full special grade curse that 3 people couldn't beat. And he just comes with no curse energy at all and just does it all. We understand that he took down Geto and Gojo at a point in time, but still, that's a special grade curse, man. So yeah, he comes in, he fucks shit up, cause Toji just fucking shit up. That's him. He doesn't lose except for one person that beat him, and just gives Dagon a good old stabbing. I mean, it sounds hella sus, but he really does stab him up in the head. He uses a playful cloud by rubbing the ends together and making blades out of them. The same curse tool that Maki uses, that she's so good with, and just repeatedly stabs Dagon in the head. Of course, accompanied by Naobito, because he's clutch as he is. He's the leader of the Zenin. I'm assuming he is gonna do something to help them with a dub, and that immediately brings them out of the domain expansion, and that's their dub for the night. But at the same time, is it really a dub? Because now they don't got to worry about Dagon, but they do have to worry about Toji and whose side is he really on? Like, the intentions, like, bro, are you gonna help us or not? You helped us just now, but what's going on now? But that was enough for Dagon. He's dead. R.I.P. Toji, I think, is next. So let's end it right there. R.I.P. Dagon. Oh God, it really does hurt me to say this. Next, Toji Fushiguro and Lady Ogami's grandson. Cause of death? Suicide. So this all goes down right after the fight with Dagon. And so it's Nanami, Toji, Megumi, Maki, and Naobito. They're all together right after the domain expansion. They're all out and safe. But now they're like now all of them but Toji is in a place of, okay, where are you right now? So are you our friend, our foe? Are you gonna help us out for the rest of the night, or do we have to like just say our prayers because you'll kill us all right now if you wanted to, because it's Toji. So Toji just takes his son outside. That's all I can really say what happened. All of them just sitting there waiting to see the next move, and the next move is Toji grabbing Megumi and going out of a glass screen. And he just takes them outside, just have a little chat, because they haven't talked in a while. And like I said earlier, how Lady Ogami's ability works is that there was never really a start marker or an end point where he had to leave, where Toji had to leave the grandson's body. So he's just out and about until someone kills him. And who's gonna kill him? Don't worry, I'll wait. So when he takes his son outside, they're like sparring. Like, I don't know what this is, or like I feel as if he really wasn't trying to kill Megumi, but he was just trying to like exercise the fact that he was free for a while before he did what he did at the end. And with all this attempted son killing going on, we have like a little flashback with Toshi and Naobito, and Naobito's talking about how much he would give Toji for Megumi. And it turns out he was actually looking out for his son when he sold him. He didn't want him in assassin world. He didn't want him in that environment. He'd rather have him in the Zenin family. And who knows, maybe it was a good idea. Who knows how Megumi would be right now if he was just raised around assassins and just not like being properly raised. And before Toji actually decides to kill himself, he just confirms with Megumi real quick. He goes, "Hey kid, are you Fushiguro or are you Zenin?" And Megumi apparently answers correctly because he's alive now. But yeah, that's when he kills himself. Right after he gets to answer that question, he's like, "Oh yeah, good." And then he just stabs himself in the head the same way he did Dagon. So, R.I.P. Toji. Next up is Mimiko and Nanako. So I'll keep this one quick also because I don't really care about either of these characters much. We didn't get much about them. We knew that they were with Geto, but other than that, we didn't get much from them. So I don't care much for them. They did have a harsh background. I do remember because they were shunned from their village, saying that they were witches and doing sorcery and stuff. But other than that, I had no interest in them. So anyway, they show up right after the Chozo vs Yuji fight, trying to feed Yuji Sukuna's fingers, which I don't even know how they did because Yuji wasn't conscious, and how they put it just shoving someone's finger down another person's mouth. So basically their intention was to revive Sukuna and have them kill the fake Geto. And that just backfires so bad on them, like just instant death. Like right when they ask, right when Mimiko or whoever Ko asks, instant death. Slice and dice, not a chance. She tried to pull her phone, the other girl tried to pull her phone out for whatever reason. That's never going to be explained again because that was a stupid ability. I never even seen that. We seen that ability about to be done twice. They were going to use it twice and it never happened. I really don't care about these characters. I never seen nothing from them at all, really. I don't care. Long story short, Sukuna killed both of them for being stupid. Next, Jogo. Cause of death? Sukuna. Now, Mimiko and Nanako wasn't the only people to witness the Sukuna effect. Like literally right after, like Jogo was with the sisters when they died. Like he was also feeding Yuji the fingers of Sukuna. So he was there when Sukuna awakened and killed those two girls. So he was up next to make the request. He wants Sukuna to do what he already did, which is make a binding vow with Itadori. But this time, not to come out whenever he wants to, but a binding vow that lets him permanently take Itadori's body. And Sukuna's like, "Yeah, I'll listen to all of you cursed spirits if you can land one hit on me. Just one hit." And Jogo gets washed. It's literally not funny at all. Jogo gets washed in speed and power, and even cranked it up to a battle of firepower. He's like, "Oh yeah, you cursed spirits don't know that I have this. Like none of us knew that you had this." And Jogo's no slouch. Like Sukuna himself admitted that Jogo was really strong. He's like, "Be proud, man. You're strong." Right before he burns him to a crisp. And I didn't even mind Jogo's character. He was cool. He was a cool character. He was a cool antagonist for what he was. He played his role, and he died, I think, at a necessary time of the series and what's going on. So I think it all made sense to me. So R.I.P. man. Next, the Maharaga. Cause of death? Damn, Sukuna's on a roll. I'm glad that the author gave Sukuna all this screen time because he definitely had his fun before he went back into Itadori. So, but the last opponent that he had before he actually went back was Maharaga, and it's the strongest Shikigami that any of the 10 Shadow users, including Megumi, can summon, and none of them have beat. Because how it works is that the 10 Shadow users, how they get their how they tame their beasts is that they beat them. They summon them and then they beat them and then they have them tamed and stuff. But not Maharaga. Maharaga is one that's yet to be tamed by any of the users of the 10 Shadow technique. So it made sense that Sukuna slightly struggled a little more with this opponent because it makes sense. Maharaga definitely lived up to the hype, and he gave Sukuna way more of a fight that we've seen most battles with Sukuna in. So we even see Sukuna get bitch slapped, like through buildings. Like we never seen Sukuna get bitch slapped that hard since his fight with Gojo. And the thing with Maharaga is that it can adapt to attacks. Like Sukuna was throwing out attacks, and this is also the cool part. Maharaga also was able to see Sukuna's curse technique. I don't even think we've seen Sukuna's curse technique yet, and we have people and beings who can see it, like Gojo and Maharaga. I honestly don't know who else can see it, but fun fact. So what Sukuna did was draw out his domain expansion, which really isn't even a domain, we come to find out, and just goes nuts, honestly, and it just slices Maharaga up. And before Maharaga can adapt to the attacks, he switches the attack with the fire arrow that he used to beat Gojo. So yeah, R.I.P. Maharaga. Next up is Shigemo Haruta, which is the guy who uses the hand as the hilt of his sword. I never really cared for him either, so I'll make this quick also. Long story short, after Sukuna is done scraping Maharaga, literally, Shigemo is just on the sideline, just dumbfounded with what he just saw. And thinking that he's off the hook, well, just mainly because Sukuna said that he's off the hook, but he really wasn't, obviously. We come to find out that his curse technique is a luck-based curse technique, which is actually really interesting, and I wish I kind of learned it earlier. And they said that he wasn't aware of that ability, but then here's where I'm confused. It stated that he wasn't aware of his ability, yet he said when Nanami hit him, he should have died, but because of his curse technique, he is alive. So he knows something of his curse technique. My point is, we were shown his curse technique right when he's about to die. So I can't be mad because at least the author revealed the technique. Unlike Bleach, where some characters didn't get like Bankai reveals. Yeah, so long story short, his luck ran out. So actually, this was Sukuna's last dub before he left. Either way, RIP. And last but not least, Nanami. Cause of death? Mahito's bitch ass. So this all happens after the fight with Dagon. So Dagon's dead, the Fushiguros leave, and then Jogo actually comes. So it's Jogo and the 3 from the Zen squad. Jogo just goes apeshit because of Dagon's death and Hanami's death. So all this adding up, he's blitzing everybody. He blitzed Maki, he blitzed Naobito. He hit Naobito with the same attack that he hit Gojo with the first time he tried him, and then he got Nanami. So then all of them were down for the count. We still don't even know if Maki and Naobito are alive, but we do see later on, so now we're going back to what I'm talking about. Later on, we find out that Nanami is alive, and he's just chopping down all the, I don't know if they're transfigured humans or curses. I'm assuming they're transfigured humans because Mahito was there, so he was going off on them. He was just ripping them apart. His body's half burnt. He's lost an eye. Like, he's in a daze. So Mahito definitely took advantage of that situation and hit Nanami with the idol transfiguration and kills him right in front of Yuji, actually. And that was just a very powerful scene because everyone likes Nanami, and he died right in front of our faces, right in front of our main character's face. So it was a very impactful time, and he will be missed. So yeah, that was the Shibuya body count in terms of the people who actually participated in the incident. Hopefully there's no more deaths, but I will gladly accept Mahito as a candidate. So you can share your thoughts down below of what you think of the people who died or your opinion on them and all that good stuff. Like the video and subscribe if you want more content like this. Peace!